get so wrapped up in just looking at the cloth. Like you see a jacket on the rack and you're like, oh man, look at this. I can weave this.
I know.
I can do that. Well, I get in that bad habit all the time. I get so wrapped up. But there's so many fabrics out there in ready-made garments that we can weave. We can do that. So I see things not only in the stores, but in sales catalogs, and I just am amazed. Some of the beautiful fabrics in things that we can do, that are available. So I went through some catalogs and some magazines, and I found all these beautiful examples of color and weave in the fabric.
Katie likes
love
houndstooth.
that.
Yeah, I was going to say your houndstooth.
This one I really like. It's a bunch of different colors, but you can still see it in there. Some beautiful pinwheels. That's just a dishcloth. I really like that one. And I found some fabric in Land's stash. Anyway, lots of examples, and I get wrapped up in it. So what do I mean when I'm talking about color and weave? What I'm not talking about is just throwing a lot of colors in a weaving. I'm talking about a particular type of cloth that I'm making a pattern. So the color and weave refers to the effect of the color patterns or sequences of colors in the warp and the weft to make a pattern. Again, color and weave describes an infinite number of patterns that you can get by just doing different combinations of color sequences in the warp and the weft. And here's another definition. Most often the color and weave effects that can be found in plain weave, you can see them in twills, basket weaves, and they can be done on a multitude, different numbers of shafts, from 2 shafts, 4, 8, 16, you name it. It's that color sequence that we're looking for. So let's a little bit more information. The dark and the light, and this was taken from one of the books that I was going to reference a little bit later, that they should be the same hue, intensity, or texture as the warp to achieve true color and weave effect. Most patterns that I'm going to show you have the same, it's like it's woven as drawn in, so the weft is going to be the same as the warp, but it doesn't have to be. And you try and make a balanced weave. So I'm going to show you a lot of just plain balanced weave examples. This is plain old log cabin. This is a good example of a color and weave effect. It's just plain weave. And to get the pattern, it's just alternating the light and dark in the weft and the warp. So as you can see, it's just 2 shafts. And it's just alternating black and purple, black and purple, black and purple. And then it switches. They're all on the first, like black is always on the first shaft, and the purple is always on the second. Then it switches to have the black on the second and the purple on the first. And I've done exactly the same in the weft. And that's what gets the pattern. So color and weave is using these color sequences to make a pattern in your cloth. It looks a lot more complicated than just a plain weave. I can take this same thought and I can change my color sequences. In this case, you can see I have big sections of black in there because I have extended the black colors in my warp, and I have done the same thing in my weft. So it gives me a whole different look. This is only using...
And you didn't change shafts.
I didn't change shafts. No. All I did was change the color sequence. This is using just 2 colors and two shafts. What if I used 4-thread color sequence? In this example, I'm using 2 darks and 2 lights in my warp and in my weft. And again, this is just a plain weave. It can be, and I'm using 4 threads, and I'm using 4 shafts in this example. And so I get a little bit of a pinwheel going here. I can use 5 threads in my color sequence. And it looks very similar to the 4th thread, okay? It's giving me a pinwheel, but it's giving it a little bit more, it's a little bigger. And this one, I'm using 5 threads, but I'm using dark, 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 light, light. This little blurb is just kind of letting you know that when you need to figure out how you're going to do your pattern across the cloth, that if I'm using 5 threads, but I only had, 4, how do I explain this? That to get an even number of repeats in the color to match up with my threads, you have to plan that out and make sure that I have enough so that you get your last color sequence to end up on the last shaft. Okay, so what happens if I want to add another color instead of just using 2 colors? What if I added 3 colors to my color sequence and used dark, light, dark, and medium, medium? I could get a whole different look. So I don't have a pinwheel kind of shape, but I'm still using the same plain weave, and I've just done a different color sequence. So it gives me a little bit different pattern. Here's another example, and I'm using dark, medium, light. And again, it's 5 threads, and it's a 5-thread color. It's just a different color sequence, and I'm using the same color sequence in the warp as I am in the left. So it gives me a different pattern. So these are just some other examples, just taking 5 threads and alternating or changing those colors. So dark, medium, light, medium, light. This is 5 thread, light, 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 dark, dark. Here again, I've gone back to kind of that pinwheel shape, only it's a little bit bigger. Here's the light, medium, light, dark, dark. I mean, you can play and do any kind of color combination you want. We can use 6 threads. I can use 6 threads, and here it's going to be just 2 colors, light and dark, but I'm using light, dark, dark, dark. Completely different.
Oh, that's interesting.
Again, completely different. Light, light, dark, dark, light, light. The color and weave effect is the patterns that it's making in the cloth just based on your color sequence. This is still plain weave, but that doesn't look like just plain weave. Here I've added the 3rd color, the dark, dark, light, light, medium, medium. Here I've just changed all the colors. So here I've got those colors, and here I've got the blues. It just changes the whole effect of the cloth. And again, it just changes it, right? I had so much fun playing with this, and you can do an awful lot on that weave program to see the color changes instantly. Yes.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you, what program.
This is PCW, and it's just easy to play with. I can use 7 threads in my color sequence. So here's an example. Again, this is showing a pinwheel kind of pattern, and it's much wider across because I have 7 threads now to play with. And again, this is just plain weave. This is just changing the colors. All right, so let's crank it up a notch. Let's look at some 8 shafts, and let's do some twills. Let's play. We can take this same concept of these color sequences, color sequence in the warp and the weft, and we can just go crazy. So I'm going to use 8 shafts and have a 6-thread color sequence. I have a pinwheel, but it's getting a little bit more detailed. The next series of pictures that I'm going to show you is using 8 dark and 8 light. And I'm going to be changing the tie-up. But I'm going to still be using the same threading, the same treadling, but I have a different tie-up. But it's 8 dark and 8 light in the warp and the weft. Look how different I can get. And this is just the tie-up that's changed. That was fun. That was just fun. And some of the pictures in the beginning, you can see some of these same patterns. This one is the same, okay, the next picture, when I look at this and I look at this one, this is the same tie-up, just a different color sequence. Looks completely different, doesn't it? I can change the color completely. It gives it a whole different look of the cloth, depending on what kind of colors I chose. And I can make it even fancy. This is just where I took the exact same, the same tie-up that I had, and I light and dark, but I put a bigger space in there of those dark threads, so I have make it more like a plaid, but it broke it up a little bit and made the design a little bit different. This one made it even a little bit more different. This one I changed the threading up a little bit. It's again the same at the warp and the weft with my color sequence. Then I added some extra colors in there. This one's a 23 thread sequence, and that's just, kind of just playing on the same thing, where I have some of the purple and the black, and then some of the blue and the black going on. And then I ran out of time to put all these together on my program, so I just took some copies out of a book to show that, you can do these things on 16 shafts. And these are just some patterns, and it's basically, you can do anything, but it's different color sequences to get different patterns. 5 threads, 7 threads, 8 threads, 10 threads, 23 threads, and so on, and so on, and so on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So ColorNweave, I did talk really fast, my goodness. So ColorNweave, there are so many possibilities of things that you can do. I do have some references of some books that I looked at. I'm pulling some of this information together, and one of the most fun books I had used was this particular one. It's The Pinwheel, and it's an exploration in ColorNweave design. So I got a lot of my information from here, and then I played. But this was a really fun kind of a study book on how you can color combinations, and it has little pictures of what the patterns would be. And this one is on 2 shafts, 4 shafts, and 8 shafts. So it goes on that. So that was kind of a fun book to see the different patterns. And I know most of you in here get handwoven, and believe it or not, in this month's handwoven there was an article on ColorNweave, and they did a beautiful scarf. With a little bit more information there. I checked the library for other references on ColorNweave, and I'm turning these in today if anybody wants one. But the one that I was particularly on ColorNweave, can't really see it, the title, but it's ColorNweave Design. And this one has a lot more pictures in here of the just different ColorNweave patterns that you can have with an explanation. So this was kind of interesting, and I'm turning this back into the library, so it's available. This book was 1,000+ patterns. I really didn't use this book because it has an awful lot of patterns in it, but it's 4, 6, and 8 harness shadow weaves. And then this book, I only checked it out because of the title, Weaving with Color, but it really wasn't color and weave. There's a difference between color and weave and just color in your weaving. So, I wanted to just show a few examples of cloth that was actually done this. And I will not take credit for this. My mother wove this beautiful piece, but this is a plain weave, and it's showing off that ColorNweave effect with the warp and the weft. She doesn't know that she just gave that to me, really. She she doesn't
My
know
husband's
you.
Yes.
Here's another example, this is just color and weave, this was just, a scarf.